Welcome to Santa's workshop. I'm Santa. Hey, we're going to start this thing off by we're going to spin up a Myrtle bowl out of firewood. So kick back, watch, relax. Just a disclaimer, don't try this at home. This is just for entertainment purposes only. That's probably all we need to say. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so the piece we're starting off with is, like I said, it's a piece of firewood. It is Myrtle from Oregon. It's been on the ground for quite a while. It was cut during the winter time, so the bark, we can kind of play with that because it'll stay on there. So you'll see a little bit of that when we finish up. Some of the bark's still on there. Anyway, I guess that's probably about it. We're going to put this on here and get going. Myrtle is sometimes referred to as pepperwood because it has a strong peppery smell to it. Sometimes it's called laurel or bay tree. A bay tree, it's called that because the leaves are what they use for bay leaves and make spices and that kind of stuff out of it. So you got to be careful here. Limb wood or firewood like this is typically cracks kind of funny, so we got to be careful because we're going to go in as a kind of a into the grain, which, you know, myrtle wood is kind of tough. It's a hardwood, but it's also kind of stringy, so it makes it kind of difficult to go in towards the grain as opposed to, you know, cutting from the side and getting the side grain. A little easier to cut that way. But this is going to be tough, but it makes a beautiful result. So let's get started. Okay, the first knife I'm going to use is called a diamond point, and I use that because the diamond point cuts away stuff pretty quick because it takes a little cut. Doesn't go very deep, but you can use it, and of course we're speeding things up, but you can use it to clean up the edge really fast. It's not always the perfect one for that job, but it does work really good for me, and I like using it because of that. Okay, we're getting a lot of that off of there, and you can see kind of see some of the results of using that knife. And you see that big crack coming from the end closest to the pulley. We have to stay away from that because it'll ruin our bowl. So we're going to use this other end of the wood. So we're going to split it right there in the middle where there's just a tiny bit of that crack. But those two knots are going to stay in our bowl, which will give them a lot of character. They're kind of difficult to work with, but gives it a lot of character, and it makes all the difference in the world. Myrtle wood has a tendency to spalt when it's left out. It's actually a gold-colored wood, and so you'll see that a lot in the shops and different places where you can buy Myrtle wood product, and it's a real gold-colored. This has been out and in the exposure to the air, and that process causes it to spalt, and that's why you'll see all these different darker colors in it. So, all right, we're spinning up right here. We're cutting into creating a tenon. We like to use a tenons because in the long run, the tenon tends to leave a better bottom. I don't know how else to say that. You know, in the old days, you used three screws in a plate or multiple screws in a plate, and then you ended up with screw holes in the bottom of your bowl. Well, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to create a reverse tenon, but which means that it goes into the wood. It's a void in the wood where the forejaw chuck will hang on to it. But you do an outward or a positive tenon to start off with. As you watch here you see me cutting it off with a handsaw. If you're using a parting knife like I was using to split them in half, and it grabs that when it starts to get almost through the wood, it will jerk it right out of your hand, throw it across the room, and hopefully not stick it in something or somebody. So you get down pretty far there, and then you take the handsaw and kind of cut it the rest of the way. It's an easy process. It's just, it takes a little bit of an extra effort. My lathe that I'm using here, I have 2 lathes, and this one here is kind of small, and that's why the camera jerks all over the place really easily, because it's not very heavy. All right, so we have that positive tenon, the tenon that was sticking out that we made, and you saw it just a few seconds ago sticking towards the camera. That's in the 4-jaw chuck now, and what we're doing is we're making a reverse or a negative tenon to replace it with, and then that will remain on the bottom of the bowl. So we're using a flat tip carbide knife there to get kind of a flat surface for that. Now what we want to do is we want to finish this part of it up before we put it in the chuck, because when we put it in the chuck on the other direction, it will end up not being able, we won't be able to work on it again, because we're going to take the other tenon off. You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. So that reverse tenon, that hole right there, that gap or void, whatever term you want to use it, we're going to clean all that up. We're going to do a bunch of sanding on it, and we're going to bring it up to about 400 where it is now. Excuse me. I think about it up to 220. That's right. Take it up to 220, and I made a bunch of mistakes on this as I was making this, and which I didn't include in the editing. So, but just so you know, there was a lot of flaws that I got covered up. So we're using this little sanding pad to sand up the inside of this reverse tenon. That way, once we use it, we don't have to worry about cleaning it up or finish it up, because it's already done. All right, so now we've brought this up to 220, and we won't go any higher on the bottom. And this is usually all I sign my bowls with. It's just my mark. It's just an M. Sometimes I'll hand write with a pen or something what the species is or something along those lines. But usually I just try to put them, and sometimes I'm going to do that. So I keep trying to remember that I need to make sure I do that so people will know my product. All right, so we're taking a measurement here because we don't want to drill too deep. So typically we would use a larger Forstner bit to take this out. As you see, I'm making the measurements to make sure we don't over drill. And I would like to use a larger Forstner bit to take out more meat. But like I was saying a minute ago, this is a pretty small, weak lathe. It's not very strong. It's made for small stuff. So when you're using hardwood on it, it doesn't spin as hard, or it doesn't spin as well against drills and knives and so on. So I'm only taking out that smaller section, the little 2-inch in the middle there. Usually I would probably run a 3 or maybe even a 4-inch Forstner bit down in there. Take out a lot of the work, especially on wood like this, because it's hard to work in grain against Myrtle. It's just a tough wood. So we're going to start off here with I think I'm using the diamond tip carbide blade. No, I started off with that to smooth that out. That's one of the things. So it's like I got into this, and I'm thinking to myself, "What are you doing, Denny? You're not supposed to be using the round tip yet." We will use the round tip extensively further along. But, so you see I'm cutting these in like little sections, and so what happens is, because of the design of this particular knife, is it digs in really well to remove the wood fast, but it only does it in little short spurts. So you kind of play with it until you get more of it cut out of there. So we'll use it until we get down to a certain distance, and then we'll take over with the round nose gouge. So, and I apologize for jumping in front of the camera a lot. I only have one camera, and I didn't have it quite set up just right. So, all right, so we're using the round nose carbide. Those carbide, if you've never used these before, they're wonderful. I love them. This scene here is just try to do a little slow-mo just to kind of give you some interesting action. So that's what's going on there. It's all spattering all over the place. So yeah, these these carbide blades are wonderful. I love them. I love using them. They're easy to work with. I am terrible at sharpening my blades, and I guess if I had a decent sharpening blade, a decent sharpening system, which I've been tempted to buy, but since I started using the carbide blades, I don't. They're just long-term, you know, we'll see. But yeah, I don't like using them. So some of the neat little extras that you find in some of this wood, such as this knot that we're working on right here, it gives a lot of character, but the bad side of that is it sometimes causes splinters to stick out, and it's hard to smooth them out. So you got to kind of go in there and play with them and kind of get it all smoothed out. And so we have two of them. One of them is through and through, and the other one is slightly through and through. They're not the same knot. That's funny. They're not the same knot because we actually have the heart of the piece of wood. Remember, this is firewood or limb wood or whatever you call it. All right, so we're going to go into some sanding, and I didn't take you all the way through the sanding because it takes forever. It's the longest process of the whole thing. Even with the drill and the padding, it takes forever. But what you're watching here is actually the 800. Is it either the 400 or the 800? And using the drill saves so much time. It sands so much faster by doing that. So you know, but you can't get every angle, and so I have the little holder. So it's a Velcro holder handle that I use to get in the sides here. That way, because what happens if you try to get it all with the drill, excuse me, you'll get gouges. So this is Howard's Feed and Wax. It is orange oil and beeswax. It is the absolute most amazing, wonderful, incredible finish that I have ever used in my entire life. And that includes everything that my father used when he was teaching me as a kid. It is easy to work with. It gives you a beautiful finish, but ultimately what I love about it is it leaves a lot of the natural color and natural finish to the wood, and that just it speaks volume. I don't mind watching people use epoxy, but I am not a fan of epoxy or high gloss finish. I never have been. I don't like it. I like the wood to look a lot more natural. I do like the shine of some of those finishes and everything, but there's a lot of work that goes into them. This is super fast and easy, and well, you see the results. So this beautiful piece of wood is all done up. Of course, it didn't take 15 minutes like this video took. It was about 3 or 4 hours in the shop working with this. But I love the results. It is polished up to 800. It is smoother than glass, and that's just the honest truth. It's actually smoother than glass. There's no grip to it. It's just polished off smooth. And came out really good. I'm really pleased with this. For the time being, this bowl is for sale unless I sell it somewhere else. So you can contact me if you're interested in purchasing it. It'll be $65 plus shipping. It's about 5 or 6 inches across and about 4 inches tall. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave comments and subscribe, share, do all those things that keep the videos going. I enjoy making them, and I hope you guys get something from it. Please comment. Let me know what you think. Even if you don't think it was that great, I don't mind. All right. Thanks, guys.